we're already, we've not really realized it's passed quite fast, and we're already on to our 14th session. Just requested Hina to be live with us on screen. Hello, Hina.
Hi, Akshat. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Going on, I think, as most of us are.
That's great.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I think the tech specs seem to be working fine. There doesn't seem to be any echo of our voices, and we seem to be all set. So
Yes,
you can hear me loud and clear?
absolutely. Am I audible as well, or do I need to hold the mic closer?
No, no. I can hear you pretty well without the mic really up,
Yeah.
up close to you.
All right.
Maybe Preeti and others can comment and as to if they can hear us properly, maybe, and then we can get to
Absolutely. Sounds good.
yeah.
Do
So
we sound
if
good, everybody?
yeah, please confirm. I'm waiting. A thumbs up would do fine, just fine. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, excellent. Kalpana ji, thank you so much, and Manmeet, thank you so much as well. Uh, okay, so starting off, my name is Akshat Sinha. I'm your host for the evening, and I am doing specialized sessions on mental health through Mind at Ease, which is an initiative by Preeti Singh. I'm helping her out with this, and together we are bringing mental health specialists to speak on topics which are very relevant in general times as well, things that need to be spoken about, and especially considering the lockdown and the situation that we are in right now, I think they become really important to be spoken about, to be discussed, and we getting the specialists to speak about them so that you get the information which is just about right. Today we have for our session number 14, we have Hina Fakhruddin, and I'm very happy to welcome you. Welcome, Hina.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Akshat. Thank you, Preeti, for having contacted me to take part in this. So I'm
Right.
quite happy to be here.
Excellent. So I will just try and introduce you to our listeners so that it's easier for them to understand where you're coming from. And Hina is, she has a master's in social work and mental health and a postgraduate diploma in psychosocial care and support in disaster settings from TIS, which is Tata Institute of Social Sciences. She's also the recipient of the Fulbright plus scholarship, and she graduated in experimental psychology and psychology from the University of South Carolina and University of Madras. She's worked in multiple places, and she's a trauma-focused psychotherapist with a passion for designing socially inclusive and just communities. She's inspired by her experiences as a mental health professional, having worked in geriatric mental health, community mental health, disasters, and complex emergencies over the last decade or so. So I'm very happy to have you, speak about a topic which is so relevant and so important, which is elderly care and mental health related to that. Uh, Without much ado, welcome to the show. My first question to you is, how would you, so when we're talking about elderly care, who are these elders? What is the age group? How do we define them?
So the general definition of an elderly is essentially
Right.
anybody above the age of 60.
Okay.
So previously, the average life expectancy was around 75 years. Between if you look at genders, usually it's considered that women do tend to live longer than men, but
Right.
generally the previous life expectancy up to even a decade ago was about 75, 80. But
Right.
now you have people living up to well past 90, and it's not
Right.
so unusual anymore to hear of people above 100 years of age.
Right.
But generally old age has always meant, when you call somebody a senior, it's usually somebody above the age of 60.
Right, right. So I think the fact that, the more we age, there are more factors, even physical factors, that become challenging for the individual. Fortunately, also, we kind of, as humans, we kind of have this habit of accumulating a lot of emotions from
Hmm.
our life, from our people around us. So there's a lot of things attached with that. But before going to the emotional aspect of it, maybe you could tell me that the physical challenges that the aging individuals face, how
Yeah.
does that impact them, I mean, in terms of stress and their mental health? Okay.
So generally, generally as we age, like you said, as we age, very often our physical strength, our body, a lot of our abilities, right? A lot of our
Right.
physical abilities do tend to diminish. Very often there is a wearing down of the physical parts of the body. You tend to hear a lot about people going in for knee replacements. Some people do end up having hip replacements.
Right.
It's essentially there's a lot of also it's not just the accumulation of emotions, but also like the accumulation of wear and tear.
That's right.
Arthritis, right? Arthritis is a
Yeah.
very commonly heard of condition among a lot of Indian elderly. Uh,
Right.
the thing is that there is a lot of physical conditions that are related to the aging of the body, but there is also, a distinct category of diseases that is called non-communicable diseases,
Sorry, could
NCDs.
you could you repeat that?
Non-communicable diseases or
Right.
NCDs, right?
Right.
And under these are usually the other term for them is also like they're also called life. Some of them are called lifestyle diseases like
Right.
diabetes, hypertension, right?
Right.
Cholesterol,
Right.
high cholesterol, heart disease. Um, these kind of diseases are now considered to be a major role. They play a major role in the quality of life that a lot of Indian elderly, the diminished quality of life that a lot of Indian elderly experience. So
Right.
very often, in fact, India is considered to be the diabetes capital of the world.
Yeah.
In partly because we have a very large number of elderly citizens who are
Right.
diagnosed with diabetes and dealing with that condition.
Right. Right. So
And
having
that's,
diabetes, yeah, I mean, and
sorry,
all
go
the
on.
other, sorry, the lifestyle, the conditions that, come with, like diabetes and high blood pressure, hypertension, and other, they kind of add to the challenges of an individual. I mean, and especially in the, in an age where they'll be beyond 60, the wear and tear of the body is not as easily, it's not a reversible process anymore, and there's more wear and tear than, recuperation from that, which also has the physical, the arthritis and the joints
Yeah,
and everything attached.
yeah.
Uh, so now, how about the mental, stress and the health, issues that they have accumulated over the years and to them?
So, if you remember, I was saying that, a large number of people, a large number of Indian elderly, there's a high, there's a high instance or incidence of non-communicable diseases among that age group, and
Right,
accordingly, even there is also, a lot of new studies are finding out that those there is a high level of what is called comorbidity. And comorbidity is essentially a number of conditions that kind of tend to happen together or are influenced by each other. So you will
right,
find that there's a lot of, there is actually a very high rate of comorbidity between, or high burden of comorbidity between non-communicable diseases like the ones I mentioned and
right.
between mental illnesses. And some of this is because of the stress and the tension, for lack of, for like a very vernacular word, but I think it encompasses everything so easily.
Right.
There's a lot of tension that a lot of people have about health seeking for these
Right.
conditions, and there's evidence, for example, in diabetes, there is a lot of studies now, even in the Indian population among elderly, that shows that there is a very decreased quality of life, that there is poor mental health well-being as well, because
Right.
there is a lot of fear and distress
Okay.
associated with having that disease. And outside of that, there is also the fear and, there's fear and distress about aging, because in our country there is a lot of what I would say also social cultural changes about
Right.
how we are aging, how our families are coping, who takes care of us as we grow older. Also, for example, as we grow older, we are also drifting apart maybe from, old friends, because they
That's
are
right.
also being impacted by these same conditions. So they may not
Right.
be able to, maybe. So, for example, when I was working very close, very heavily in geriatric mental health until very recently,
Right.
it was very common to hear stories of a lot of elderly men and women who would speak of, oh, we used to have a friends group, or we had neighbors, there was a lot of us who used to hang out every day. But in recent years, the group has it has shrunk, become smaller,
Right.
because everyone is experiencing, for example, a member, like a friend or two may not be able to come out as much as often because it's very stressful for them physically. They may have been lost. Some people have moved away to be closer to their children so that the children can help
Right.
take care of them. So,
Right.
so the thing is, so there's a lot of things that kind of impact their emotional well-being. So it's not
Right.
just the physical aspects and that influence, but also, for example, their social ties are also, there's a lot of change happening there as well.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, so if we look at this situation where an elderly person, and
Mm-hmm.
especially in India, where we are talking about the non-communicable diseases and, the comorbid,
Uh-huh.
that come along with that, and the loss of your people, your support structure in terms of your friends or family,
Yeah.
really close people of the same age group whom they could speak to and probably share their, I mean, daily burdens that they carry with themselves.
Yeah.
Uh, what does it mean in terms of when all of this, is put on an individual? I mean, are there any data? Is there any statistics in terms of how often do Indian elderly get impacted by this? Like you've worked, as you mentioned, with you were working with them quite recently, and
Mm-hmm.
you've heard
Mm-hmm.
stories. But are there any official data or studies which have been conducted?
About emotional well-being.
Yeah,
So
emotional
there are
well-being of. Yeah.
of elderly. So
Yeah.
there are quite a few studies. Like there is a WHO report that came out in 2018 that spoke very
Right.
specifically about NCDs, but also the impact of NCD. So, for example, mental illness is considered mental illness and mental health issues also come under NCD. Okay, so
Okay.
it's also
Yeah.
considered a non-communicable disease. So,
Right.
so the WHO they released a report like in 2018 where they were talking about how there is we have one of the largest growing populations of seniors and senior
Right.
citizens, but we also then have an exponential rise in NCDs. So when you look
Right.
at, I'm trying to find the statistics. I know I have them somewhere here, but
Yeah.
essentially, so for example, there's a recent study that was called the Lucknow Elderly Study, and it was done in collaboration with Cambridge University. And
Okay.
it was published in 2018. The paper was published in 2018. And that was a study of nearly 33,000 individuals across
Okay.
Lucknow and certain areas around Lucknow, certain neighborhoods
Right.
around Lucknow.
Mm-hmm.
And out of that one study of just 33,000 individuals, they found that one-fifth of the population had
Okay.
psychiatric morbidity. Okay,
And
which
psychiatric.
means that had psychiatric morbidity, which means that
Okay.
they had at least one mental health condition
Okay.
directly related to aging and elderly.
Right.
Yeah. So one-fifth of 33,000 is close to that's about a little more than what, 6,000 people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in one area, in just around
Yeah.
one city, essentially.
Right.
So if
Right.
you, so the thing is, when you extrapolate that
Right.
to, for example, like in India, I think in 2011, according to the last census, we have a population elderly that is around, I think 8.6% is what we have, which comes
Right.
out to 8.6% of 1.2
1.3.
billion people. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
1.3 billion people. is
Right.
close to almost, what is that, 10 million people?
Yeah, 10 million at least. Yeah.
Is it 100 million? Sorry, it's 100 million.
Sorry. Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
there, so that's the thing, right? So when we're talking about 100 million people, and if you can extrapolate, if which honestly it is bad science to do that, just willy
Yeah.
nilly, but just
Right.
in terms of public health figures, right?
Right.
That is a very large. Um, 1/5 of 100 million is still a large number of people who,
Right.
who are experiencing mental health difficulties, who are experiencing mental health trauma, maybe, who, and in addition to even their physical health problems. So it's not
Right.
just mental health issues; it's also usually in tandem with physical health problems as well.
Right.
But in this country, and because mental health is still over the last couple of especially over the last couple of years, I see it gaining so much more prominence, and I'm so happy about that. And
Right.
we're starting to see the prominence of or the rise in concern for our elderly as well,
Right.
because there has been an attitude towards mental health of let's deal with physical health problems first, and then we'll deal with the mental health problems.
Yeah.
And then for the elderly, it's been a case. I mean, the physical health problems are always considered, they're always like the first focus of families and
They're
even
visible.
the individual themselves. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, so
They,
the mental health problems are just kind of like, oh, we'll just, I mean, that's not a big deal. Once we figure out the physical problems, we can look at that. So,
that's true because we kind of always push the mental health issues on the back. It's
yeah,
something that is not discussed, uh, although it should be a part of our conversation so that we can look at the well-being. Because ignoring things doesn't make them go away,
yes,
which is something that we have right now with the COVID situation. It's not something
absolutely,
that we can just ignore. Uh,
absolutely.
But, I mean, this situation has, how is it impacting the elderly right now? What are the direct impacts you believe would be there?
Well, the the issues that I'm hearing from people working in the field with elderly right now is that, for example, I'm hearing from clients who are unable to meet their children because
Right,
the children are very understandably worried about, oh, they are a risk group, they are at higher risk for contracting this infection, so we don't want to put them in danger. But so then physical distancing, or as I think it's I think it's misnomered. I think it should be called physical distancing. But
yeah, it's called social distancing. I don't know why. I agree.
so it's awkward.
Yeah,
But what has happened is, I think for elderly, it has become both those things,
yeah,
because their children coming to visit them, their children coming and staying, like, for example, even if they're in the same city. So a lot of elderly couples might be sort of living in the home that they retired in, which is where they're most comfortable. And their children
right.
might be living in the city. So in Delhi, this is very true, where there's quite a lot of people who are staying with their spouses,
Other,
and also,
yeah,
elderly couples staying on their own in the homes that they've built, children living
right,
maybe in other areas, but
right,
staying, always visiting or whatever. But now with the lockdown situation, there's no opportunity to meet, and so there's a lot of
right,
isolation. Like, a lot of Indian elderly are really feeling isolated. The other problem is that many may not have had the opportunity to become tech savvy, and so then
right.
they've not had so then using a lot of new technology. I know it's a stereotype that we have about elderly, that,
No, but
oh,
it's a
they don't.
challenge.
It is a challenge. I mean, there is always a stereotype, oh, like, oh, grandmom doesn't know how to run Skype, or grandmom doesn't know how to do WhatsApp. And we all do, put in the effort to like teach them, and some of them obviously do pick it up, but then this has happened so suddenly that we have not had an
Yeah,
opportunity to also get them used to it easily.
right,
So there's also isolation happening in that fashion. So so
right,
it's become not just physical and social distance. So it's become not just physical distancing, but it has become social distancing because you can't access the social ties that you had.
right,
I do know that in a lot of like, for example, in a lot of societies, a major part of the day for a lot of elderly was like the daily evening walk together
Walks.
with other people of their
Right.
age, or they hang
Right.
out, they play games, or even just gupshup karte hain na.
Right.
And now you don't have any of that. So there's
Right.
a lot of, there's, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of stories of elderly who are sort of feeling like, or older adults who are feeling very
Left out, maybe.
isolated, left out, isolated, and really just lonely. So it's a
Mm.
hard thing. It's different to be alone, and it's different to be
Yeah.
lonely.
Right.
So yeah, so we are hearing a lot of these stories.
I'm sure that their physical health issues also, they require
Absolutely.
some kind of support, and now the maids are not,
Yeah,
especially in metro cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and all, where
yeah,
the children are not necessarily staying with the parents. They have some
absolutely.
assistance in terms of the housework and everything, and now suddenly it's stopped.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, so for example, they've been like, maybe the children do live abroad because of work and other commitments.
Right.
And so now, even if they want to come home and help take care of their parents, there's no way to come home.
Yeah.
There's no way to fly the parents out. And that's for those who can afford to do that. But for a lot of people, that's also not an option. And you're
True.
right, so for example, they may have had domestic help workers who came and managed their households for them. And now,
Right.
I've heard stories of, for example, people who are living with, older adults in their family. They're living with family members who are older. And
Right.
sometimes, arguments have been about this because maybe the children are like, हाँ मैं काम के बाद करूँगा, because everyone's also a lot of people are working from home, right? So
Right.
sometimes it's
Right.
like I'll get this done, but I'll get it done on my time. And
Right.
sometimes, the older adult is sort of just like, no, no, but I'll do it, because they also want to
Right.
pitch in, but their physical health is also an issue. And then, and
Right.
sometimes there's these arguments that come out. And so there can be those kind of, dynamics as well at play. So
Right.
this particular lockdown situation has contributed to a lot of, I would say that it's become something of a breeding ground for some of these dynamic issues to pop up. But
Right.
yeah, families are trying to address that as well.
No, that's a good thing that, I mean, ultimately the families need to, I mean, come to
Absolutely.
find ways to, survive this, because I think it's about survival as well here. And when I say that, I also think about the kind of news, that goes around, what to believe, what not to believe, and especially for these senior citizens, depending on where they're consuming that information from. There's nobody
Yeah.
to really tell them what's, I mean, is it WhatsApp University bringing the news home, or is it actually the real information, and how to uh, objectively look at the situation rather than being, so overwhelmed with the numbers and statistics and, the pessimism that, comes with all of that. So that's another
Absolutely.
that adds the challenge.
Yeah, yeah, no. Um, there is a lot of information that's doing the rounds, and generally, I mean, it's not even particularly associated with the lockdown per se, but I think we've all
Right,
seen those home remedy type WhatsApp forwards
right,
that come out, right? Like not just
right.
in terms of this particular pandemic,
But
but there's always
generally,
like some, Garelu Nuska, which in
yeah,
some cases are useful, but then in dire cases, it's not maybe something you want to try first, right? Um,
right,
so yeah, so that's also that is an issue. I've heard people speak um, of getting into arguments about misinformation, or about
right,
arguing what is real, what isn't, what do they trust, what don't they trust, and yeah, so some of the conflicts are also about um, what, like you said, right? What information should you trust? Um,
true,
and I think part of it is also that in our culture, age and seniority has a special place, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
sometimes it's hard to argue as well, and I think
right,
it's also hard for perhaps it's hard for both sides to kind of come to a compromise about, hey, like, I know this is newfangled technology for a lot of us, but
right,
we can use the same technology fact check. Um,
Right.
so those kind of there are those kind of elements into it as well. So it becomes a very delicate sort of dance, is what I would say.
True. So, considering that again the families need to pitch in, and whoever is the
Yeah.
caregiver, so the caregiver can be a person who's from the family and staying with the parents, with the
Mhm.
elderly, or it could be someone who's away but is taking care of them remotely in whichever way they can. What are the kind of tips that you would offer to both
Mhm.
these type of caregivers, the one that they are there with them physically, or the one who kind of have to own remote access to them?
Mhm. Very often, I think, even like I said, even if so, when you're living at home, I think it's important for joint families, like, if you're living with parents, if you are taking care of an elderly parent, it helps to remember that, there's a bit of a role reversal happening here. You are taking care
Right,
of your parent, whereas,
right,
previously your parent took care of you. And sometimes it
right,
is hard for, older adults, especially I think in our particular cultural style, to
right,
to remember that it's okay children take care of you, right?
right.
It's okay to hand over the reins to your kids. So I think it's difficult for parents. I think it's difficult for our older adults to remember that. Um, and I think the difficulty, there's also a lot of a lot of people who are caregiving for elderly parents may tend to feel very isolated, and because
Right,
they may tend to feel like, oh, nobody else understands how difficult this is. But as we are increasingly becoming a sandwich generation. We are
right.
like I think our generation is becoming the generation that's going to be taking care of our own kids, and we're also going to be taking care of elderly parents
Appealing.
or elderly
Yeah,
family members.
right,
So as the sandwich generation right now,
right,
who's anybody actually, I think in the age group of 25 to 45 or even more, um, I think it's important to remember that you're not alone. It's important to remember to reach out. There are
okay,
resources, and there are groups that are coming together to help provide support. They're coming together to find support in each other as well. And I
right,
do suggest that such caregivers do make and like try and reach out to others who are on the same boat, because I think you will find a community there, and you can find resources there as well. So that's for people who are living with family members with
with
elderly
these.
in them.
Yeah,
And for those who are like remote, or who are away from their elderly family members, it is good to have a support system of some sort in place. You probably already do. Try and increase your, I would say, your digital contact. Like, it can be very frustrating to try and teach your parents how to use, technology over the phone or over the internet.
but
But
it
I
would
think
help.
it would help. It would help. Like right now, given particular limitations of this pandemic that we're currently facing, these are
Right,
some of the smaller ways in which you can kind of figure out how to make sure that your parents or your elderly loved ones stay safe. There are quite a few organizations who do emergency support and provide, like even a lot of hospitals now allow senior citizens to sign up to avail emergency support services. And
right,
and there are a lot of options like that right now, at least in the Delhi NCR area. And I know that it's going to become a growing need. It's definitely going to be needed as a lot of us ourselves get older. We're going to
right,
have to start. We should really focus on geriatric, not just like mental health as well, but even just elder care. We should really focus on improving those public health facilities and services and products, with
right.
the aim of we are going to be that population in 30 years. Like a lot of 40 years, are going to require these services. So now is the time to really push for policy and push for advocacy for our seniors. Um,
Right.
Solely, I mean, you know, if you want to do it from a selfish perspective, go for it, that's fine. But it's going to benefit all of us, you know, it's going to benefit your elders now, it's going to benefit
Right.
our future generations, and it's going to benefit everybody. You're going to have better healthcare, better mental health care, you're going to have resources, and even just it's going to improve the quality of life for our senior citizens. So
Right.
now is definitely the time. Like as we're getting more and more aware of these issues, now is
Right.
definitely the time to really focus on ensuring that you know our older adults get the kind of you know receive the kind of help and care and you know advocacy that they need.
Yeah, I mean, those are very important points, as you mentioned, for both the cases wherein the
Mm-hmm.
caregiver could be somebody who's staying with the elderly parents or
Absolutely.
the elderly members in the family. And this whole
Yeah.
thing where the pandemic has put people in different situations and locked them down where they are. So, like you mentioned about the access to the digital access or the access through networks is very becomes very important. So to empower the elderly with the uh, basics of understanding how to use probably Zoom, WhatsApp call, video calls, just use
Yeah.
that and probably have uh, like you mentioned about trying to create a network for better elderly or geriatric health care, just physical
Mm-hmm.
care also will
Mm-hmm.
go a long way, not just the elderly of today, but us when we become elderly tomorrow, right? I mean, so
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right. So thank you so much. I think we've just about come to the end of our
Yeah.
session, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm sure that there is so much more that can be discussed in this, and we'll be looking forward to any questions, any suggestions that would be there from our listeners. And we will be directing those questions to you, and hopefully that in
Sure.
some time we might need a second session where we focus on certain aspect that has been discussed today, and then we can try and address
Absolutely.
that more in depth. Uh,
Absolutely.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
Happy to.
Yeah. Yeah, I look forward to this opportunity. All our listeners, we will have our next session tomorrow. You can check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, Mind at Ease underscore MH is where we are here right now. And Mind at Ease on Facebook is what you can find. Uh, we are very thankful to Hina who took the session today. And this is a very important topic, and we need to help out our elderly and save ourselves and take care of others as well. Thank you very much, Hina, and thank you to our
You're
listeners.
welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You too.